Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to check out another beer. Today I'm taking a look at one from out of North Carolina. This is the Hoppyum IPA. So I ended up picking this one up on a recent trip when I went through West Virginia. Hit one of their little stores down there called the Liquor Company down in Charleston. Was really the only place to kind of find some craft beer in that area. So if you're ever in the Charleston, West Virginia area, the Liquor Company is probably where you want to go. Picked up some various beers that are kind of in the fridge or in the basement, but this was one of the ones I grabbed. Not familiar with them. This is actually done by Foothills Brewing out of Winston-Salem, and looking forward to seeing what this one had to offer. It is come in at 6.5% ABV, I believe. Double check that. Oh, sorry, 6.25% ABV, 78 IBU. On the back of the label has a little bit of details there about the beer. If you wanted to pause or kind of zoom in on that, you can. But it does make a note of kind of having additions that make it kind of tangerine-like, great aroma, superior taste. You know, kind of what they kind of put on the label to try to entice you to take a look at it. So let's go ahead and get this baby open. I think this was established here back in 2004. They got the little label there as well for the their little logo, and of course the beer and the hops. And there we go, decent looking pour in the beer. Easily came out with enough of a 2-finger head. You can see some of the action taking place inside the glass as well. Nice, pretty much golden orange color. Now I do have some particles in there as well, so it is bottle fermented. They are a notable size. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera or not, so you are noticing that there as well. Aroma is pretty decent. I'm getting a nice hoppiness out of it. Definitely getting like a tangerine type smell from the hops. Very citrusy, fruity. It's got a little bit of a sweetness behind it as well. Getting a little bit of that pineness in there too. And need I say, a little bit of a dankness, being an IPA, one of the most overused words probably. A little bit of a medicine-y taste in there as well. That's on the nose. So as far as the taste itself, do get a little bit of kind of a nuttiness in there. And they make mention of that on the label as well. It's kind of a different type of characteristic of the flavor. A little bit of a sweetness in there as well, almost like a syrup or a jelly type sweetness. If you think of like an orange marmalade, kind of along those lines. But it's got a nice thickness to the body. It's got like a little bit of a syrupy type texture. Bitterness is there on the initial as well as the finish, but it's not really as harsh going down on the swallow. Definitely feels a little bit heavier on the tongue. It's leaving a nice duration of flavor in that you're getting that that aftertaste of kind of that nuttiness that I mentioned. Almost a little bit of a wooden type feel too. Maybe a little bit of a, I won't say like a leathery, but it's got kind of a little bit of a rustic type feel or something to it. It's kind of interesting. It's just different. I'm not used to it. You get a little bit of that medicine-y in the background on the taste as well. Nothing overly done on it, but you do pick it up. Carbonation actually sits pretty nice on this one. Not overly carbonated by any means. Get a little bit of lacing there on the glass as it goes down. But all in all, not really a bad tasting beer. Pretty good in that regard. It's got a nice characteristic. It's definitely sticking with me with the duration of the flavor. Again, not feeling like I have to rush through this or anything like that. Flavors are kicking around very nicely in the mouth. I'm feeling it in the cheeks. I'm feeling it on the roof of the mouth. I'm feeling a nice quality from that characteristic of the beer. And one of the big things I like is that it does have the cheeks tingling some. So let's go ahead and take a look at a rating here. And let me get my notepad so I can track that information. So first thing we want to take a look at as the appearance. Appearance is definitely where it should be for the color of the beer. I mentioned it does have that look of the bottle fermentation with the different particles floating around. That's going to be a turn off to some of the people that actually drink this. I think that has to be accounted for in it as well. For some of your people that drink craft beer a lot, it's probably not going to be as big a turnoff. But, you know, you want to entice people in. And I think that can be something that can be, you know, a little bit of something that may not win people over as much, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But the head itself poured out a nice, decent head that pretty much was a little bit off-white. And it does leave a little bit of lacing behind, but it's not overly doing anything. It is hanging in there for a good amount of time. So for the appearance on this one, I'm actually going to give this one here a 10 out of 15. As far as the aroma comes out very easily out of the glass. You get that hoppiness you expect to get from an IPA. You're getting some good citrus. You're getting some good notes coming out really easily. Halfway down the glass, it's still coming out a little bit there. I mentioned it does have a little bit of a slight medicine feel, and that comes from some of the hops that are also used, but nothing that's overbearing or anything like that. I think it's pretty decent enough on the aroma that I would actually give this one here a 11 out of 15. As far as the flavor works for me on this one. The initial, the finish, the bitterness that's expected, it's a nice amount of it. The great duration, I would say the duration on this one is definitely better than some of the average ones out there. So it is hanging around nicely. The flavor gets around the mouth very much, where you're picking up all the notes and stuff from the hops that were used. You're already getting that IPA feel of the tropical and the citrus type effect as well. So flavor for me on this one, I think it's pretty solid, and I would give this one a 11 out of 15. As far as the palate, I think it sits well on the palate enough that you get a good strong texture, as I mentioned, from that body. You also are getting a nice medium body experience with this one. It's not too thinned out, which is nice. Carbonation is not overly done. The feel of the finish is very nice. You're not getting any throat burn or anything like that with it that you get with some of the IPAs. Slight bit on the, again, on the swallow, where you would have a little bit of that menacing type thing, but nothing overbearing as well. I think on the palate, overall, it does a really good job. And I would think this one, actually, for me, is going to be a 12 out of 15. And then overall, how I look at this beer, I think it's decent. I think that some of that taste may be a little tough on somebody like just getting into the IPA area with that kind of that woodiness that I mentioned, that syrupy type feel. I like it overall, but whether an average person is going to get into it as much, I'm not sure. I think you have a little bit of that medicine in there again that has to be taken into account. And you have that syrupy type thing. Usually you're not getting as much of the syrupy type stuff on IPAs. On this one, you're not getting a heavy dose, but you're getting a little bit there. So I think for me, overall on this one would be a 34 out of 40. So let's go ahead and total these all up. So for me on this one, from Foothills Brewing, Hoppyum IPA, this is a 78 out of 100 score. So solid, not really a bad beer at all. It's just going to be one of those ones. I think a more experienced IPA liker may like this one a little bit more than someone that might be a novice. But I think it has some nice characteristics and would definitely say check it out. So if you've had this one before, let me know what you think. Put some comments in the comments section and let me know your feelings on it. But that all being said, thanks again for swinging by to check out another video. I look forward to catching you guys next time. As always, keep drinking those good craft beers. And remember, there's always time. Get your beer on. Cheers.